It's kind of wild how long I have spent in my life pretending everything was perfect in life, in fitness, in everything. Because admitting that it wasn't feels like failure. Absolutely. And growing up Mormon, I thought that the goal was to not only be perfect, but to look perfect. There was no mess, there was no cracks, there was no mistakes, there was nothing wrong, nothing to see here. Everything's glorious, right? And that mindset really fucking fucked with my self worth. And it's wrecked a lot of the ways I've approached life, but especially here, where we're talking today, is in relation to my fitness journey. So, welcome back to Gym Bag Confessions. I'm Rochelle.
And my name is AnnMarie, and today is going to be a little bit more personal, and I'm so freaking excited about it because we are going to be hearing from Rochelle so many amazing things about her journey with being Mormon and how that's impacted, obviously, like she said, being perfect. We're going to talk about what perfectionism actually looks like, how we can create a different strategy for ourselves instead of being obsessed with this idea of perfectionism. And this episode isn't about religion bashing at all. This is just an honest conversation about identity and letting go of the pressure to feel like we have to be flawless.
All right, our confession this week is, I'm sure, something that we can all relate to. Like, I know nobody wants to admit it, right? But she said, I lied to my trainer for 3 months about logging my food because I didn't want to admit that I was struggling. 3 months.
Right up. That's a long
Get
time.
it.
That's
And so if
hilarious.
you've ever, yeah, I'm like, I can relate, unfortunately. Like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. No.
Yeah.
But I think that's something to remember is that we're not in those instances, and a lot of times with perfectionism, we're not chasing the progress. We're actually chasing the approval
That's
that we
fire.
get from others.
That's so
So,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I love that. So let's
No
jump in.
judgment. We've all been there.
100%. Okay, let's drop the mask of perfectionism. And now we're going to dive into our main topic. So the first main point that we want to talk about is what perfectionism really looks like. So I think one of them is always feeling like you have to have your shit together, like Rochelle said, not asking for help, even if you're completely drowning. I know that sometimes our pride can get in the way. I know this is something that you struggle with, Rochelle, is like asking for help and being okay with receiving the help when you know you're at a point where you're
Yeah.
like, I can't do it all. And I think
Yeah.
one of the big things for me is obsessing over my body, obsessing over my behavior, and especially your self image and like how you think that other people are perceiving you. So it's pretending like everything is all good all the time. And you mentioned it's like if I look perfect, maybe I am perfect. And it's so crazy because I know that for myself, like not idolize, but like I look at people who are quote unquote perfect and have the perfect body, and you're like, oh, they're so disciplined. Oh, they're so perfect. Oh, they have it all together. Oh, their life is perfect. And it's like, no, everybody has their own shit going on. And just because they have their perfect body doesn't
Yeah.
mean that everything else in their life is going perfect. It's so far from it. So, how do we just normalize normal bodies and accept ourselves wherever the freaking heck we are at on our journey and realize that in the moment that we are in is exactly where we need to be.
I think one of the big things for perfectionism for me has been like pretending I'm never struggling, because like if I was doing it, because I tell myself, well, if I was doing it right, if it was good, if I was like perfect, then I wouldn't be struggling. So like the shame in struggling, it's like, oh well, there's more proof that you're not doing it right. You need to do better. You need to do more. You need to, you know,
Yeah.
ugh, I'm exhausted.
You're like, I'm exhausted just talking about it and thinking about it.
God damn it.
Okay, so
But I think that's something that you and I have talked about, right? Is like we, especially in like the fitness industry, is like, we have that picture, like you were just saying, like we have
oh
that
yeah,
picture
I
of like
forgot about that.
everybody's got their shit together, everything's perfect about their life, everything's perfect about their health, and that girl that you used to follow, and you found out like years later that whole time that you thought everything was perfect, she was like only taking
Struggling.
pictures on the days where she was perfect, and otherwise she was like so fucking bloated and her gut was so fucking fucked that she was like miserable.
It's crazy. And
So
that's
like
like
that's part of what we want to do is like This is reality, guys. Let's talk about reality. There's no shame in this reality.
Yeah. And I think too, like, that's why it's so funny because as we're talking about this, that's why we haven't published anything in like a week or two because there was one week
Mm,
when both of us were like, just like, we have nothing to share. And we looked at it from that perspective because we were like, oh, well, we haven't been perfect this week. We haven't had our shit together at all. And we both were like, okay, we both feel like we haven't had our shit together in ages. Like, what are we going to do? Talk about how we haven't had our shit together for a long time? And it's like, yeah, but that's the breath of fresh air that we need in the fitness industry. And that's what we look for is like, hey,
mm-hmm.
where's the person that's like doing the best that they can every day, but still doesn't have their fucking shit together and they still feel like they're stuck doing some of the same things and they're struggling to make changes or like, it's not fucking perfect. And just because you want to make a change doesn't mean it's going to be 100% linear. So, yeah, it's like finding the I guess,
Mm-hmm.
value in understanding that life isn't perfect. We aren't perfect. And there's so much value in sharing that, hey, we're hot messes, essentially, because that's where we're at and that's where everybody is. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's our hot mess
We're all
journey.
fucking hot messes.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Heated mess.
And anybody
Heated
who
mess.
pretends that they're not, they are. So,
Yeah. They're probably the worst. Trust me, because I know. 'Cause faker here and faker. Okay. So let's quick talk about my. So I'm no longer Mormon. I haven't been affiliated with the church for like 8 years now. I don't fucking know. A long time. But I was raised Mormon and I did all the Mormon things, right? So I just want to like be clear. This is not, we're not turning in this into bashing the Mormon religion at all, like, or any religion. I'll never bash any religion. So this is just saying how like that culture has of perfectionism was baked into like how I perceived the world and how I interacted with the world. Now, this isn't going to be every LDS person's experience, but it was mine. So like it was in the religion growing up and stuff, it was like you were clean, you were happy, you were modest, you were always put together, everything was going well because like everything was tied to obedience. And because there was this idea of if you're righteous or if you had enough faith or if you're faithful enough, then you got all the blessings. You got what you wanted. Your prayers were answered. You had food on the table. You had success. You had the perfect family. You had all these things if you were righteous, if you were faithful. And if you weren't righteous and you weren't faithful, well, then you didn't have it. If your prayers weren't answered, well, it's because you didn't have enough faith. You didn't have enough, you weren't righteous enough. So that blessing was being withheld from you until you were. And if you didn't get there in time, you were going to miss that blessing. Sucks to be you. Now go
Oh.
repent. So it was like, so like you see, like in there's so many depressed people. There's a high rate of antidepressant use there because everybody's walking around struggling, but we have to go, everything's
Everything's
perfect
fine.
because if it's not, then everybody knows you're not righteous. Everybody will know that you're a sinner
Oh.
and you didn't get this, so you deserve it. Sucks to suck, right?
Oh.
But not in the fun way.
See, it works
So
well.
like, can you yeah, so and I'm sure other people in other religions experience this. I know I'm sure, and even, maybe even not in a religion, maybe in a family culture or other society, culture that you're in. I'm sure that's rampant in a lot of areas. But it didn't give any room for. There was no room for mistakes, sloppiness. Like you couldn't show who you really were. Like, and I left the church 8 years ago, but that conditioning is so ingrained in me. Like I
Hmm.
remember, like I think I told you, I might have even said this on the podcast once, but like people, like there's always when people hear I have 6 kids, there's like four phrases everybody says to me. And I'd always, oh my God, that must be so hard. And I'd be like, no, no, it's easy. Oh no, it's easy. Oh, it's not hard. Um, yeah, I'm crazy. Oh, they're the best. Like I would always just like anything negative they would say, I would always be like, oh no, it's not easy. No, no, it's not hard. And it was like it was like a year ago. I was like driving down the road and I was like, this is hard. This is hard. And why is it taken me 18 years, 18 years of having kids to finally admit like
That it's hard.
having these kids is it's fucking hard. It's really fucking hard. And it's okay for me to acknowledge that it's hard and I don't think I always do the greatest job, but that doesn't take away from how much I fucking love my kids and I don't regret one of them. But I can have both ideas.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So it's like that was like a signal to me of like how much perfectionism is ingrained in me because I couldn't even admit it to myself that it was hard. Because if I felt like I was admitting that it was hard and I was struggling, then I was a really shitty mom.
Right.
Ugh. God
Yeah.
almighty. So tying it to fitness, like it's hard for me to, it's hard for me, I can't admit that if I'm struggling with my fitness plan. I can't admit if I'm struggling eating right or doing the things like I don't want to do. Like I have to just keep it locked up tight. And if I'm struggling, that means I'm not good enough. I'm not perfect enough. I need to try harder. I need to add more to my plate.
Yeah.
Because if I was doing it right, then I wouldn't be struggling. And it's like, it's taken me like probably until now, like this week to realize like, oh my God, like I cannot keep thinking I have to be perfect in order to have the life I want, in order to have the fitness and wellness and health results. I cannot continue this idea that I have to be perfect, that I have to tell everybody that I'm perfect, that everything is great. Oh no, I'm not struggling. Oh no, I don't want that fucking Oreo.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm great. I don't have to. Ugh.
I think it's so interesting because as you were speaking, it reminded me of this quote that is, if you want to know how to own a man, then give me a child from age like 0 until he's 7 and I will own him forever. I can't remember who wrote it. Kind of goes back to like
Oh shit.
what you learn in childhood like is so deeply ingrained in your subconscious, and you can of course make so many changes to those things, but sometimes we don't catch ourselves running the program of what we learned when we were younger. And so
Yeah.
you know, even just this week you're realizing like, oh shit, that's how it's still playing out for me. And so yeah, it's just, it's crazy. Like also too, like anywhere that you are on your fitness journey, it's like stop and take a pause and see how everything impacted you in your past. I had a client before that I was working with, and she was like, we didn't have food all the time in our home when we were younger. And so she's like, when we have food, we have to eat it. And she's like, I'm at a place where I'm making so much money now. And she's like, I'm fine. We can put food on the table. She's like, but I can't stop eating because I'm so wired to think that it's not
Yeah.
going to be there, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like changing your relationship with food can take time and awareness. Not even food, but just like fitness in general. Like maybe you are somebody who works out like absolutely psychotic because maybe growing up you had, you know, I've heard this story too. Like my mom, not my mom, but like the story was my mom told me that I needed to be a model and I had to be really skinny and I had to be really thin. And it's like, okay, well then this girl developed an eating disorder. And now she's trying to just like figure out how to balance eating a normal, healthy amount of food because she was so conditioned when she was younger to like be thin, be skinny, not get fat, blah, 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 blah. So like they change who you are. And so I think it's just being mindful and having patience with yourself, kind of like you're mentioning now, as you have the new awareness that's come to you this week. I think too, now we can go into like our next section is like why being perfect is always going to backfire. So we either maintain the illusion that we are perfect or you burn out trying. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what happens. Like it's not actually who you are. It's a performance. It's not authentically who you are because ultimately at the end of the day, you're just like, I can't fucking handle this anymore. And you're not growing when you're pretending to have it already figured out. So perfection stops real progress because it doesn't allow for any honesty to come in. And as we were talking about this too, I think it was really interesting. We mentioned them in the last podcast episode, but the KK Fit twins, I've been following them for a long time, and they blew up because they would do like huge cuts and bulks, and they would be like super strict with their food, and they would get really lean. So they were like in a bodybuilding era, but I don't think they actually did competitions. But then one of them got really fucking sick. She ended up gaining like 50 pounds and just like ghosted for an entire year. She's like, I was just eating. I just felt like kind of what we were both saying we have experienced before is like the extremes. And when you go to the extreme, it's like, it's just trying to find balance. And now they're at a place where they're also finding balance, and they're like, oh my God, it just looks so much better and it's a lot healthier.
Like I remember with perfectionism, I would be like, not remember, like I can reflect as like, oh, I pretend I can have it all together. Because I feel like I'm like, if I pretend, then it'll become true, right? Like if I pretend that this is going well, because it doesn't feel like a blatant pretend or a blatant mask. Like it doesn't feel like an obvious mask, right? Because it feels like, okay, well, if I try to embody this, then maybe it will become true. And then once I have it mastered, I can be like, ta-da, like it was here all along. And so, like, I think sometimes when I think, even in manifesting with that embodiment idea, like, where you're like, okay, well, what's this woman that you want to be? What's this? What would the person, the future you that you will want to be, is like fit wise or health wise? Like, what would she look like? What would she be doing every day, and how would she be behaving? And then you do that now. And so I would try to embody that. But now, literally as I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing I painted her as perfect. I
Yeah.
painted that future me
Same.
as
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
she wakes up, she's like, I go through her day routine, right?
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It's like fucking cut out of a magazine.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you glossy, sunshiny, the birds are fucking
Yeah.
singing,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
birds are doing her fucking hair like she's Cinderella, like, um,
Literally. Yes.
I mean, pretty much. Like, I think I have a Sleeping Beauty life and my future me embodiment thing. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's what it is. Like, because I think, well, I'm embodying that. That's not me pretending. I'm embodying that. I'm trying to be that person.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
God, thank you. That's what it is. I need to clean up what I think the goal is.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then I can embody that. Like, oh, kind of like just like we were talking in the last one. Like, okay, maybe I need to figure out that um what's that balance, because we're talking about let's not be crazy disciplined. My future me, she's fucking happy. I gotta make sure my future me is eating fucking cake.
Yeah. Yes.
She's having ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta make sure that that balance is in that future that I want for myself. Oh my God,
100%.
what an epiphany. Thank you.
I know.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's so true. And it's like, okay, the Cinderella's birds are doing her hair in the morning. I had the same thought, but not the level of epiphany that we're experiencing right now. But like, okay, the version of myself that I want is not the one who's militant. She fucking does whatever the fuck she wants, whenever she wants, and she trusts herself. She trusts herself deeply. So, yeah, and she's not being extreme.
And she's kind to herself.
Yeah. So
Right?
kind. Yeah.
She wouldn't be shaming. She wouldn't be like, Rochelle, you fucking get your shit together. Are you ever going to get your shit together? Are you ever
No.
going to be blah, blah, blah?
No.
Or do blah, blah, blah
No.
without fucking up? She would never. She would
No.
never.
You'd be so proud of where you are, even like if you look back at the version of yourself that my friend told me this the other day, and I love this idea. It was her birthday, and she's like, 5 years ago, I started writing a time capsule to myself. And so she's like, I finally got to open the first one. So every year she writes a letter to herself, and it's basically dated like 5 years ago. And she's like, oh my God, the old version of me is so wise. And I was like, because everything she was writing, she's like, I just started crying because I was like, we think that like our younger version of ourselves, like, oh, I should have done X, I should have done this, I should have done that. And it's like, No, actually, that version of yourself is what got you to where you are now. And you have to have so much respect for her because she is wise. She does have so much wisdom. She does have all of this, you know, innate wisdom within her. And so it's just having so much more respect for yourself in that sense. So I was like, I love that. I'm going to start doing it for myself.
I know. That is so cool. I have to wait 5 years?
Yeah.
Nah. I'm gonna do one every year. And then 5 years. What does she say in there? That's so cool.
Well, she'd just be like, hey, this is where we're at. This is what happened. And she's like,
Hey,
yeah,
girl,
so,
hey.
yeah. She was like, it was really funny because I was like, I went on a date last night. Maybe, like, hopefully he'll text me. She's like, he never texts me back. And then she was like, last year she was in a relationship that she really liked. And she was like, yeah, we're in love, blah, 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 blah. Like, just talking about that. She's like, but it's not there anymore. And she's like, even wrote to herself too, like wherever you're at right now, like it's so perfect. Whether this came to fruition or it didn't, it doesn't matter, kind of thing. And yeah, so it's just
Oh,
like whatever you want to rate
that's
to
so
yourself.
cool.
Yeah, whatever you want to rate to your future self
Oh,
as the
that's
version
neat.
of
I love
yourself.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, how neat.
yeah,
Okay, cool. So
yeah.
let's talk about what works. I mean, we've got our epiphany here, and I think that's a really good, as like changing like what is it that we think is the actual end goal is not perfection.
Hmm.
And like what if when we picture ourselves in the future of when we have what we're trying to get, when we've reached whatever this fucking goal that we've painted in our head is, um, like what does that actually look like? And like that probably is the first place we need to clean up.
Hmm.
Um, and then looking at ourselves now today of going, where am I really? Like being like radically honest with ourselves. Not in a shaming way, not in a shaming way, but like really being honest with ourselves. And then start celebrating any and all effort that we're putting in, not the results that we're obtaining, not the how we look to the rest of the world. As far as like not just like what our body looks like, but if somebody was like, "Oh my God, look, she's so good at her meal prep. She's so disciplined." Like, don't even worry about that part, like that appearance as well.
Hmm.
And then like we've talked about in our journaling, like the journal habit that we have, we're tracking the progress. We're tracking the follow through. Like oh, I'm saying what I said I would do. We're not going, "Oh my God, look at all the red X's, you
Yeah,
suck."
yeah,
But we're going, "Oh my God, I'm following through. I'm showing myself." And you touched on it of and I think we touched on it in the last episode too. It's like about trusting yourself. Trusting yourself
yeah.
to we're building that trust. Not because it's like oh God, my thoughts are all muddled right now because my brain's like, ah, she's
You're
on crack.
you're all bamboozled by
Um,
your own epiphany.
I know. I'm like, well, fucking hell, I don't need to say anything else.
We're done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like so like it's built like progress is like built on permission, right? Permission to mess up, to learn, to get back up, to try again, to be lifing,
Hmm.
to not be perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's true. I think what works is like, yeah, changing what you think the outcome is. So for me, I know that the version of myself that I want to be is the one who sticks with her meal plan 80% of the time and can go out and fucking eat a brownie today and not obsess over feeling like I have to eat more and more and more and more. Or like, I can stop at just one. Or I can do planned or spontaneous things off of my meal plan and it's not the end of the fucking world? So, yeah, I think it's just realizing that it's like, okay, life is perfect how it is, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and honoring and valuing and loving and appreciating my body so much because I know when I have days of doing that, of like seriously having so much gratitude for my body, I'm like, oh my God, it's so fucking cool. Like I had this thought to Jay the other day, and it's so crazy because, in our lives, we can have these like abandonment traumas or these abandonment wounds. And people are like, oh, well, you know, people have abandoned me. Nobody's ever stayed with me. And it's like, well, if you actually think about it, your body is the one thing that never, ever, 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 ever gives up on you. Like, even if you have disease, your body never leaves. Your soul is actually the thing that decides that it's time to leave your body. Like, it's never the other way around. So your body is always there with you. And it's like, you have to have that level of respect for it, because it's always fucking there for you. It's never going to abandon you. Your soul abandons your body before anything else, right? So I think it's actually like they have information showing that when your soul leaves your body, you still have brain activity, and it's fucking crazy. Maybe there's disease or whatever, and it's like, it's having this beautiful relationship with yourself. Like for me, I know when I have things that are going wrong in my body or things that I don't want to appear, like symptoms, I'm like, what is it trying to tell me? And how can I lean into paying attention to her and listening to her so much more and giving her exactly what she fucking needs? So I don't know. I had that realization when I was talking to Jay about it, because I'm like, your body is so fucking imperfectly perfect, and it heals itself. It heals it fucking self. That's crazy. And you don't have to do anything. It just breathes for you. It pumps your heart pumps all the time for you. Your body's detoxing, your liver's detoxing. Like, all of these things are happening for you without having to do anything. So I know that's a really long-winded way of saying, like, your body's perfect. Stop obsessing over the fucking image that you have and start appreciating your body for what she is.
And asking your body, like, what do you need? What do you need?
Yeah.
What can I give you? Because
Today,
you're absolutely fucking right. Like, it's imperfectly fucking perfect. It is a really, truly, it's a fucking miracle that you're fucking alive. Even if you feel like your body is like, you know, even if you do, like you said, even if you have so much disease, you've had so many health issues, and they just, you know, like, you don't, it's still there for you. It still has your back. It has not abandoned you. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah. Let's wrap up this episode with such a nice "She's Making Gains," which ties perfectly into this episode. I don't know if we've ever mentioned her before, but her name is Molly Carlson. She's one of the #1 Red Bull cliff divers. She's fucking amazing. And her tag on YouTube is at Molly Carlson 1. We'll put it in the show notes, but she is just fucking awesome, because she talks a lot about how she used to have an eating disorder as a diver. And then she got to a place where she has a really healthy relationship with food. And I love it, because she's like, you don't need to be perfect. Like, she shows how she has a bloated stomach when she goes to practice sometimes. She talks about how she'll get on a plane and she's like, we're going to go get snacks, come with me. And she's eating fucking Pringles and chocolates. And, you know, she has videos of her eating pizza all the time. Like, I don't get the vibe that she's somebody that tracks her macros. And it's kind of like my friend Hannah that we shared in another episode. It's like, these people are professional fucking athletes, and they're not obsessive, and they're not perfect with their nutrition, but they fucking slay. So it's like, how can we just look at where our bodies are showing up for us? We don't have to be fucking perfect, and you can still absolutely crush. So it's like, looking at many things. She talks a lot about too, like how for her, she's like, I am so much more focused on like how talented I am, rather than like being obsessed with how my body looks. And it's like, yeah, how can we just like focus on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So some takeaways. I love that she has Pringles and chocolates. I'm like,
the best.
I want to be that fucking girl. I'm putting that in my vision. Putting that in there. Hell yeah, salt and vinegar chips, baby.
Hell yeah.
Some sour candy. That's gonna be me.
Fuck yeah.
So some takeaways from today's episode is, one that I think I really like the most is like, trying to look like you have it all together is absolutely the fastest way to fall apart and be just.
It's so true. Yeah. Keeping up this like facade essentially is fucking exhausting. And you don't need to be fucking perfect to make progress. You just need to have an honest look at the data in a not judgmental way to be able to move forward. So we've been so conditioned to wear a mask, especially I think with like the rise on social media lately. It's like, Just fucking let it go. Every time you come back to like your authenticity, it's like a breath of like, it's like a deep breath of like letting the weight off of your shoulders. Whether it's just with your family or your friends or like whatever it is. I know for me, when I let go of a lot of perfectionism tendencies, and I've just accepted like I'm a fucking human, I'm a hot mess, we all fucking are, and anybody who pretends they're not is a fucking liar. So just like allow yourself to be like that. You're not going to be perfect, and I think that's the beauty of life.
And it's like the biggest weight off your shoulders. Like the more I've been honest and like open with different things in my life, like just like speaking up more is like, oh my God, it's like how freeing it really is. So taking that mask off is just like, you can be you. You can be you, and it's perfect. Not like perfectionism perfect. It's fucking perfect. You are allowed to be you. Messy, hot mess, fucking wild hair, Cheetos on your face, and it's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. So, have you ever faked it to stay perfect? Tell us. Tell us in the confessions. We'd love to hear how you've faked it to make everybody think everything's great here.
Yeah.
Drop your confessions, drop your wins, especially if they're messy, and we always want real. We're not looking for grandiose things. We just want you. We just want to celebrate you and shout you out here on the podcast.
Don't forget the last one.
I know. Give me a second. Okay. And this is a reminder, if you are in our Hot Girl Challenge, show up as you are. Just keep building the habits. This is where the magic happens, as you just show up for yourself. Messy, imperfect, consistent, and beautiful. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode on Gym Bag Confessions. We shall see you next week.
Bye.